Hello and welcome back to Raise Gaming and more Wilds talk. Today we're going to be covering an important topic, the endgame of Wilds, which you might soon find yourself at, or maybe you already are at Hunter rank 41 and above. You've cleared all the main story of high rank now, so you're looking at the fun of the true endgame. But what can and should you be doing here? Well, that's what we want to cover and advise you on today, so let's begin. First up for sure is making yourself a build, which kind of comes in two versions. Obviously, you've got your weapon, but importantly, you've got your armor, which is where we're really going to begin. The first part of making a build is actually having the pieces that you need. For example, let's say that you're going to go with 4 gore pieces, and maybe 1 piece of Guardian Ebony Odo. And this is very possible if you're planning certain element setups. Well then, you're going to need to hunt down quite a few gores and a few Odos as well to get that going. That's a pretty simple concept, though there are ways to make that process more reliable. But the second version of your set is going to be the real endgame, the longer term grind. This is where you're working on your decorations and trying to get that perfect mix. As you can see, if I actually had a razor sharp decoration here that also had handicraft on the second half of it, I'd have 3 out of 3 enhancer, 3 out of 3 quick switch, and 3 out of 3 razor sharp, then 1 level of handicraft on all 3 of these. That is possible, resulting in 4 offensive skills at level 3. That will be optimal and is a long-term goal, and you can see that I'm getting close to it. The other aspect of a longer-term grind then for the endgame is going to be perfecting your Artian weapon. Say for an element weapon, a lot of that is going to be hunting down the perfect rolls, where say I'm trying to aim for 4 element boost on 1 weapon and maybe 1 sharpness boost. So I'm really close on these dual blades here. I just have 1 wasted reinforcement bonus, which is the attack boost. Creating many Artian weapons and then repeatedly reinforcing them, re-rolling the RNG over and over until I get that perfect moment where I get all the ideal reinforcements. That's a longer term goal as well. So let's cover the process for achieving both versions of that, your initial set and the long-term perfection grind. First up, for actually achieving the first version, which is going to be your initial set of say your armor, you're going to need a lot of monster parts, and some of them are more rarer than others, like plates and gems and that kind of thing. This is where field surveys and investigations are going to really help you. A field survey is finding a monster that you actually care about with the parts that you're desperately after. Let's just say we want this Rathian. Well then this is a perfect example because it's going to give us multiple of the basic materials of the monster as a bonus reward, which is going to go towards crafting the pieces. And we got the rarest thing here, which is a ruby. To maximize how many rubies I get from this Rathian, all I need to do is start the quest. What I can do is save this as an investigation, right? By spending a few points to do so. But I can also start this quest right now as a field survey. So I could go get this done, get these bonus rewards, all the materials and that rare gem. Then because I actually saved it as an investigation, I can bring that up under investigations. And here it is, the Rathian with all those bonus rewards and the main gem itself. As you can see at the bottom right, it says I've got 3 of these left. So that alongside the field survey would be a minimum guaranteed 4 Rathian rubies, the gem, and a pile of Rathian materials on top of say carving it and just the RNG quest rewards at the end of a hunt in general. With something like this, you can get exactly what you need in a guaranteed way and more than that. Now be aware, you can see investigations saved at the top left. I've got 39 saved right now. That is actually capped, unfortunately. You can only have 50 investigations at a maximum, so be aware that you will need to manage them. So if you want to get rid of them, you can come to the same page here and delete investigations like so. Super easy. Another trick is to go to field survey history and take a look at stuff that you've actually seen and done before. If I've done a field survey but I never saved the investigation for it, I could come back to my field survey history and then just pull up an investigation to run it 3 more times. So if you forgot to do that for some reason, check this history, it might be there. But let's use the exact example of what we were talking about. You're after loads of gore parts and maybe Odo parts as well. Well then we're going to open up the map and we're going to see if there are any on the map right now. So there's none here, but we do actually have a gore in the Wounded Hollow in the arena. Problem with this in particular is that all of the bonus rewards are specifically decorations. This is actually not a bad quest by any means, and you know what? I'm going to save it, why not? But this is for a different goal we'll talk about. What I'm after in this example is as many monster parts as possible. Wow, this is lucky. Iceshard Cliffs. Instead of doing this one that's going to give me the decorations, because that's not what I'm after in this example, instead I can target this other gore because it's got relevant rewards for what I'm after. It's got extra basic materials, and in particular on this one, even more valuable materials, maybe those rarer things. So I could run this up to 4 times by using the field survey trick and saving it as an investigation, and roll much better odds of actually getting the rarer drops from this monster. But let's say neither of these gores were available, what would my other options be? Well, firstly, make sure you check the environment overview. What if you scroll down here and find out, hang on, there's a gore coming up here? That might be what you're looking for, but you need a bit of time to pass before it's going to be here. So you might think in this moment, okay, well if I go ahead and rest, let's say right now it's nighttime. So what I'll do in this theoretical idea is I don't need to change the environment, I just need to progress time, right? So we think it's nighttime. If we turn it to morning, that'll progress a little bit of time and then I'll be there when that gore's spawning, right? Well, no, wrong. If you use the rest system, it will full refresh the list. So not only everything that's available right now, like those gores, they'll be gone, but also what's coming up in the forecast. This entire list will be full reset and refreshed, meaning if there was a gore here that you were waiting for, you'd refresh it and probably lose it. So if you see something in the forecast that you're after, then wait, do some quests, pass time in the game, and it'll spawn eventually. But when you're ready to, maybe it's time to really grind the weapon parts and your ideal decorations as the second phase. What should you be doing to do that? There's 2 main focuses to think about here, the relics to identify and the decorations. At the end of any tempered monster hunt, you're going to get relics, but they come in different types, higher rarity. We're after rarity 8 for all our best Artian weapons. So to get these like red relics that are being identified here, you need to be doing a specific tier of monster. The 3rd highest tier, the highest tier in the game, which basically comes down to you need to be hunting the 4 apexes, gore, magala, and arkveld. Those are the 6 you should care most about for endgame farming if you're after the Artian parts, but also the decorations. Let's look again and see if I can find an example of that, and we have. So there's one of those highest tier monsters. We have a tempered Ray Dow, and this one just has relics. So as you can see, it's got the ancient weapon fragments, it's rarity 7, but unidentified weapon fragments are actually a rarity above what it says once you identify them. So you are looking for these red ones that say rarity 7, they'll get identified, turn into rarity 8, and those are the parts you'll use. The problem with this specific hunt is that it's just got 2 as a reward and then some valuable materials, which isn't bad. But let me show you the difference of a good relic hunt investigation. So here's a perfect example. This is 1 tempered arkveld, and for it, I'm going to get 10 highest rarity Artian weapon parts to craft with. 10 for 1 hunt is incredible. That's what's possible, and it's what you're trying to aim for. Obviously, you can't always aim for perfection. Look at this one. This isn't bad by any means. It's not 10, but 7's still really good. All I'm saying is if you see one that's worth like 3 or 4, maybe skip it, get a better one, unless you just don't have a better option. On the other hand, we want decorations. These, by comparison, are exactly what we're looking for. Because we've talked about the highest tier of monsters, gore, magala, arkveld, and the 4 apexes, they have the highest rarity potential for decorations as well. And these come in 2 unidentified forms, the sword form and the armor form. Armor is obviously defensive decorations, and sword is for offensive, that's going to go in your weapons. You're going to find that initially you're going to need a lot of armor, like when you have nothing, as well as you're going to want swords too, obviously. But getting the armor decorations you need is significantly easier and faster than getting the offensive, more perfect, ideal ones, which will turn out to be a longer term grind, to be honest. This is a nice showing of both in one go. This is a total of 7 decorations for 1 hunt, which is pretty decent numbers. But as we've shown, you could get up to 10 per hunt, or per monster. You can get both in one go though, which is where the numbers get really good. In this case, 5 weapon fragments and 7 decorations total, weighing on the offensive, which is what I care more about. So this is pretty damn great too, as another example of what you could aim for. But how do you actually get these incredible investigation options and field surveys to do? You know, maybe you're looking at the map and not seeing something quite as good as that. The truth is, I'm just sniping them whenever they're available. And you know, they're not always available. In many cases, they won't be. So you can use the 2 different tricks. You can take a look at the environment overview and go, is there any tier 3 tempered monsters coming up? There's one right there, tempered arkveld. The problem in this case is it's coming up ages from now. So I can check the other locales and see if any other tier 3 monsters are coming up. There we go, tempered dahaad. That's coming up sooner, about halfway down the list. What about halfway down here? We have a tempered new udra. So there's 2 chances of a relevant investigation coming up about halfway down. What about windward plains? We have a tempered arkveld halfway down, awesome. And lastly, for the scarlet forest, we have a regular arkveld coming up. That could work too. So about halfway down this list, there are 4 tier 3 monsters that could be some of those optimal awesome investigations. That's pretty decent, I'd say, and worth the wait. But if there isn't good options or I'm not willing to wait, then you can always use the ever reliable rest spam. My advice for this is maybe go into inclemency because, you know, apex spawns are pretty good at that point. I always like daytime because that's when the game looks best for me. I spend some guild points, we let it load, and just like that, we've refreshed the entire list of what's possible. So what's available right now? Well, we have a tempered raid out, and it's actually got awesome one of its gems right there. I can check the list and see if there's a pile coming up about halfway down like we did with the other one, and maybe that'll weigh into my decision if I'll wait in what's up right now or whether I'll refresh it. But there's nothing stopping you from going back again, resting again, and rolling the odds to see what's available. So that's pretty much what I'm doing to get these awesome investigations. But there's one other quick topic I should really mention, and that's the double hunts, which allow you to kind of massively increase the rewards you get from these hunts. So instead of getting like 5, 6, or 7 rewards, I can get way more than that because there's 2 monsters on the map. You can see one of them can be tempered, you can see sometimes both of them are. And now, look at the amount of rewards we're getting from this. This is where it gets crazy. This is known as a great hunt because there's multiple targets on the map. Great hunts were unlocked for me after I completed some specific side quests, which they ask you to take down 2 tempered monsters in 1 quest for it. They're offered after your main story mission to hunt gore, so once you've done that, you'll be given these side quests, 1 for each locale, which will then unlock those great hunts as a mechanic in each locale. So certainly worth the effort to get that unlocked. So that's all awesome, but there's one more thing I want to at least highlight for this because the RNG could be in your favor, and that's by using the trading system. For example, sometimes with item trading, characters like Seka could offer you, man, my RNG is great today. They could offer you gold melding tickets, which can be used in a variety of ways to get you a ton of the highest tier of decorations or a ton of the highest tier Artian parts to craft with. Being stocked up on what they need is important. For Seka, it's going to be the Nightflower pollen, which is worth farming because these gold melding tickets are an actual gold mine. Let's take a quick look actually at the melding system so you can see it. You will find this in Suja specifically, the peaks of Accord as you can see, and it's just to your left where you land this melding merchant that will be brought up to you when you're doing things. When you hit Hunter rank 50, that's when you unlock the Meld decorations options. So you get the first list of options when you hit Hunter rank 50, then again it will upgrade to the second level once you hit Hunter rank 100. Let's say I wanted an Expert Jewel 2. For this system you're going to need points, and you can trade items for points. There's lots of different like special items here, but in exchange mostly it's going to be decorations. Ones that you don't need is what you'll generally aim for. So let's put one in that I'm definitely not going to need in my case. And just like that, I can meld a single Expert Jewel 2. No RNG, I've literally just got exactly what I wanted. However, on the other hand, we have Wyverian Melding and Meld Relics. Wyverian Melding allows you to do RNG decorations with much the same system. You're going to put decorations in, and RNG get decorations out. I would always advise you go for the highest rarity because you might get lower rarities, but it at least gives you a chance for the best ones as well. And for good reason, they're weighed differently in points. My advice out of all of these is to pretty much only do Ancient Orb Sword because that's the most valuable long-term farm. But you will find with those gold melding tickets or even silver ones should you get them from say bounties, that can also go here to meld them and give you a massive amount of them. But those can also be used on melding relics. So yes, specifically your weapon fragments. And you can even get specific on these. Let's say you really need blades in particular, then you can meld for those. Again, using the same system, but also using Wyverian Bloodstones. These come from hunting tempered monsters and breaking their tempered parts. And so, just like this, we can meld a bunch of the specific materials we need, like you've just hunted down a bunch of the highest tier monsters, just like that. So another great option to consider. But what about actually reinforcing your Artian weapons? It's going to take exactly 50 of this Aurosol to get all 5 reinforcement bonuses on a weapon. There are 2 main ways to get these, and one of them is going to be significantly more relevant than the other. One is by letting time pass. Every now and then the fire spring happens, right? And so you'll get some festival shares, which is, hey, the exact ores that we're looking for. So you can pull them in by speaking with Nat every now and then. But by coming to the oilwell basin, there's a specific mechanic for exactly this, which is the smelting foundry. Here you can smelt ore, which allows you to get these exact things in exchange for points. But as you can see, it requires monster parts to do so. But different monster parts are worth a lot more than others. And you'll commonly find that the most valuable parts are always the tier 3 monsters. So you can see that arkveld parts are worth 90 points in this case, and I have a ton of them because of course I'm farming a ton of arkveld, because obviously it's what I'm doing for decorations and relics. So just like that, I'm able to smelt 33 of these things, and I have nearly enough to do another whole reinforce on another item. Though I do want to quickly say that you can indeed dismantle upgraded Artian weapons, and as you can see it says materials gained. You get 100% of the materials you use to reinforce this thing back when you destroy it. So you still need fresh relics to craft another, but at very least you'll get all of these reinforced materials back, which is pretty nice of them to do. So if you really want to farm reinforced materials, then just a great method is to target the highest tier monsters that have the best parts on average, worth the most points, which is obviously the top 6 monsters as we talked about. But you know, surveys, investigations that give you the extra materials or the higher quality materials as we've looked at, that can give you even more to work with. As a quick warning, I've got to talk about it just because it's that kind of video. The Armourcharm, the Powercharm are back. Armourcharm makes you take less damage by having it in your pouch. Powercharm makes you deal more damage by having it in your pouch. So it's 2 slots in your pouch that you're always going to have to give up. They always do this in the Monster Hunter games. Personally, I don't like it, but they're back, whatever. To get them, you're going to need to do 2 specific side quests that will be offered to you at Hunter rank 15 and then Hunter rank 20, with Rex and Cobb, these 2 NPCs. They'll offer the quest here in Suja. Both quests have you go into the arena. The first one at Hunter rank 15 has you defeat 2 Hirabami at the same time in the arena. The next one at Hunter rank 20 will require you to go into the arena again, but this time face 2 Ajarakan at once. Thankfully, one spawns in and you can technically defeat it before the other shows up, so that's at least nicer, but that's how you get those 2 charms. The last big tip that I want to give you guys to be really thinking about is making the most out of damage buffs. You've got damage boosters like might seeds, the demon drugs, might pills, and the all-important demon powder. These give you raw damage by consuming them. So for demon drug, you're just going to get 5 extra raw from drinking it. Meanwhile, from things like might seeds and say demon powder, you'll get 10 and they stack. It's very reasonable to always have a demon drug active for every hunt. I also think it's very reasonable to be popping a might seed alongside that. And if you're going extra hard, demon powder as well, making your hunts even faster for the longer term grinding that we're doing. Something to be thinking about. But to go out and gather those, I'd always recommend that you make yourself a gathering set. So here's mine. It's just a whatever set that happens to have the 2 main skills that you're going to need, which is geology and botany. Geologist means that you're going to get 1 extra item when gathering special items for trading, for cooking, as well as 1 extra item from mining outcrops and bone piles. And then botanist is all important. Extra mushrooms, insects, fruit, nuts, seeds, and such, like the might seeds. And you can decorate for this. It's just a normal set that I'd wear with decorations in. With that, I'll just go out to the areas that have might seeds or anything I'm interested in farming and just run around and pick them up. You can get like 3 or 4 per gather, which is going to really stack up. And if you're willing to go even harder, there's Truffle de Conga, which is a specific gatherer meal perk that comes from this, sometimes increasing the resources gained from bones or other gatherable items. So if you're hard farming, even eat for this, it'll really speed things up or get you a lot more for your time. You can of course make use of item trading to get even more of these resources. This for cooking, or say you can even get might seeds from this kind of trading and gathering, doubling up on that, which is really nice. So some regular gathering is well worth your time. Obviously we can use the farm to get these things, but the odds and numbers aren't great. You can spam rest to make this go faster or do quests, but this is in my opinion something that's nice to have, but you're going to get way more by doing a quick gathering session for like 10 minutes every now and then. But yeah, that'll cover it for this endgame beginnings overview. I think we've covered a good amount there. If you guys have anything you'd like to add or extra tips though, let us know in the comments. But in the coming days, you can expect many more useful guides for exactly this stuff and these topics. Optimal farming methods and more. So until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.